Hey, what's up? This is Kevin from Kevin's BBQ Joints, and I'm really excited to bring you this interview with Phil Kirkpatrick from Big Phil Smokers and Metalwork out of Caddo Mills, Texas, which is about 30 miles east or so of Dallas. And as I'm doing these interviews, I hope you are seeing that I'm trying to bring you as many facets of the barbecue business, and especially pit builders, because they're all unique. They all have their specific skill sets, and they all have certain things that they really enjoy building, and it shines through. And with Phil, it's no different. He's been doing this since like 6th or 7th grade, welding, and he's been building pits for about 5 years. He built a pit in high school for a project, we talk about that, but then he got into pit building 5 years ago because he knew he could do it really well, and he had someone who needed one, and it just worked out that way, and he's been doing it ever since. He can fabricate anything. He also has these DIY kits. We get into everything that he can do, everything he offers. His lead times are about 8 to 10 months right now. He wants to shorten that to about 6 to 8 months. If you want a backyard pit, it's about 8 to 10 weeks. You're going to enjoy this. He's a cool guy, and he talks about other pit builders and his relationships with them, which is so indicative of the barbecue world. So that's refreshing and wonderful, and he's laid back and chill and knowledgeable, and I know you're really going to enjoy this. I'll have all of his contact information below, but I can't thank Phil enough for taking the time. And the Kevin's BBQ Joints podcast and YouTube show is brought to you by Treaty Oak Distilling. They're out of Dripping Springs, Texas, at treatyoakdistilling.com, or a physical location, that's Treaty Oak Distilling, as well as another pit builder, Centex Smokers. The best way to get a hold of him is on Instagram at Centex_smokers. That's CENTEX, like Central Texas _smokers. Give him a DM, follow him, check him out. He's got great lead times as well as excellent pit builder. Again, that's Centex Smokers. And if you're digging these, please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, notifications below. I have a website, tons of information at kevinsbbqjoints.com. But at the end, stay safe, stay sane, and enjoy this. Good afternoon, Phil. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. How's your day going so far?
Pretty good.
What city are you working out of?
So originally I was in Royce City, and I moved to Caddo Mills to my new shop. So it's about 15 minutes from my old shop.
And where would that be?
Caddo Mills is roughly 30 minutes east of Dallas. It's next to a town called Greenville.
Okay.
So I guess you'd say like the big barbecue joint close to me would be Smoke Sessions Barbecue.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, very cool.
Yeah, Smoke Sessions actually used to be set up in my old shop, and then when he moved and started a restaurant, or building a restaurant, and so now he's in the process of building it. And so basically I moved to my new shop. I needed more space is what it was.
That's a good thing, right?
Well, for the first 3 years of me doing this, 3 or 4 years, I was everything by myself.
Wow.
And now that I hired one employee last year, and I actually just hired 2 more guys right before Christmas, actually.
Wow. Isn't that crazy? Like during the pandemic, you're hiring people. How awesome is that?
Well, during the pandemic, my business has skyrocketed. I don't understand it. It's just like, straight up.
It's interesting what sectors of business and barbecue joints. A lot of barbecue joints were suited to go, and so a lot of them are doing really well. Some of them are struggling, but it's interesting to see what makes it during a pandemic. Like obviously the Walmarts and the Targets and all those guys, they did really well too.
Well, yeah, I was expecting when the pandemic hit, like the first 2 weeks were slow. Didn't get any phone calls, no messages, no Facebook. And then after that, I don't know if it was the stimulus checks or what, and it just boom, took off.
Oh, interesting.
And I was getting phone calls like left and right, Facebook messages, people I've been talking to in the past that wanted to get pricing, and then they call me and was like, hey, I'm ready to put a deposit down. And so I was like, all right. So I started doing all that, and then this first of this year, I moved to the new shop 1st of November. It's nice. So it's we're literally right off the highway. So we're doing literally, I get people that stop all the time to see the stuff sitting out front of the shop. Builds that we're doing that people are waiting to get picked up, they're sitting in front of the shop.
Smart. That's such smart.
Well, yeah, I know. It's because I haven't done any signage yet. And so I've been working on that, like getting something designed and doing a sign or whatever. And so I was like, well, best way to advertise what I do is just put one out front and see what happens. And so that's what I've been doing.
Are more people buying it that have restaurants or businesses, or more people like the home guys?
Right now, it's kind of like probably a 60-40%. 60% of the people that buy from me are wanting to do like small catering big gigs. They've started out cooking at home on their Oklahoma Joe
Yeah.
or cooking on their, old country Pecos. And so now they're like, if I'm going to jump up, I'm going to hit it big. Yeah, so 250, you'll have some guys that want a nicer, more efficient backyard model. Then you have the guys that have been doing it for like a year or two, and they're like, okay, I'm going to jump in it. I'm going to go all or nothing, and they'll do a 250. Most of them are on a trailer. That way they can take them to different events and stuff like that. So, and then another 40%, or the 40% of my business is competition guys. So me and Cody actually do barbecue competitions with IBCA.
Okay.
And so I don't really do any cooking. I just drink the beer, watch the fire. That's all I do. Well, it's my way of like getting out and actually meeting people that I talk to on the phone or Facebook or people that follow me on Instagram. Like we'll go to a barbecue competition and people that I've never met, I'll be walking through there like drinking a beer and just hanging out. And
That's
like, oh,
awesome.
Big Phil, and I'm like, yeah, that's me. And like, or I'll go to restaurants. Like I went to a barbecue restaurant the other day and I walked in, never met the guy in my life.
Restaurant.
It was called Ernie's Pit Barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Greenville.
Yeah.
It's literally like 5 minutes up the road from my new shop. And so I was actually over picking up paint, and I was hungry, and I was like, I've heard people talk about it on Facebook. And so I was like, I wonder where it's at in Greenville. And I Google mapped it, and it's like 1 mile up the road. And I was like, well, shit, I'll just go up there.
Yeah, of course.
And that's where I was at. And supposedly that barbecue restaurant's been there for like years.
Isn't that crazy?
His dad had it before he had it and stuff like that. So, and I've never heard of it.
And that's crazy too, like with like the Texas Multi Top 50 and all that, and all the new places. There's a lot of small little places that have been there forever and I want to try to highlight those guys too.
He's off a main road and everything. Like I've driven past there, just never paid attention to it.
How weird is that? That's bizarre.
Yeah. And his stuff was good. Like it wasn't bad. It wasn't like terrible or anything. It was good.
It was like stuff people would like, locals would like.
Yeah. I go to smoke sessions a lot because I know them very well. I've been to a lot of places in Dallas, Cadillacs. Hutardo's is one of my favorite.
I saw some photos yesterday from Hurtado's and it looks so good. The brisket looked amazing. Yeah.
Well, like last time I went to Hutardo's last Saturday, and me and Brandon sat there and talked for about an hour, just talking business and like how things are going on his end, how things go on my end, talking about smokers and like, all kinds of stuff. So he's a cool guy, like super chill.
Such a nice guy.
Then he had his wife and his kid up there with him while he's working. Like he's up there like all the time.
Yeah. Did he tell you that he got the place across the patio and he's gonna? Yeah,
there's actually, I think he's waiting on something to get it finished or something. Yeah. He's talking it was like a bar and like taco joint or something. Whatever.
I think so. Yeah, it's great for you too because the world is still expanding, the barbecue world. So how did you get into this? Were you a welder? Like, was that a family thing that you guys did?
No, so I grew up on a farm. Originally grew up in Corsicana. One of the things that somebody needed to learn how to do was welding. And so I started in, I don't know, probably 6th or 7th grade. Started with welding classes as soon as they offered them.
Oh, wow.
And my next door neighbor was a welder. And so he built a fence down between our two pieces of property. And so I went over and helped him. And that's where I kind of got intrigued with it. And then I got into school and they offered welding classes in, I guess, junior high. And so I started doing that, and it was all stick welding. And then once I got into high school, I took welding all 4 years. And my ag teacher, Mr. Vitters, we built barbecue pits was one of my first projects. And so my very first smoker that I ever built was in high school. I might have been like 16, 17 years old.
That's the first time I've ever talked to someone like that. That's killer.
And so I still have a picture somewhere. I think it's posted on my Instagram of where I won like a Grand Reserve champion at like the San Antonio FFA show. So then I didn't do it. And when I graduated high school, I continued my welding career. I didn't really do smokers because I didn't see any money in it.
Yeah.
And until about 5 years ago, I kind of started opening up another shop and was doing welding. I wanted to start working for myself again. And I was going to do like fences and stuff. And I bought a CNC plasma table and all that stuff. And then just kind of got into smokers. And I was like, well, I know how to build these. And so I started looking at everybody else's work and like, how can I do this different? How can I do that different? And then over the years, I've much improved on like the looks and performance and stuff like that. Yeah. And so basically it just started out small and then just slowly worked my way up to where I'm at now.
Were you doing at the time when you first, like, do you remember your first smoker you did that you sold professionally?
Yeah, it was a 24 by 36 with an insulated firebox with a rib cabinet on the end of it.
Okay.
And I had no idea what the hell I was. I mean, just from experience, like compared to what I do now, I look back at it and I'm like, wow, that was like completely different than what I do now.
Who got that?
Years, yeah. Then it was a guy in Tyler that I built it for, and I don't think I even made any money on it. It was weird, but I I've talked to the guy since then. He said it still works good. So I was like, I mean, it was all good. It was built quality good. First time I've ever done insulated firebox. First time I've ever done a rib cabinet.
So then how did you go from that to creating a business? Like, how did you just start doing them and the word got around that you were doing it, or how?
I just started posting on Facebook. I didn't even know anything about Instagram. I haven't had an Instagram for maybe a year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
And then I was posting on Facebook, and I found all the barbecue pages on Facebook, like the buy, sell, trade, and I just started posting pictures. Mm-hmm. And then people call me like, "Hey, can you?" I mean, it was mainly was like fixing other people's stuff. And so I started fixing other people. And then I started seeing how some of these other smokers that were built by other people.
There you go.
And I was like, I'll remember that. And then I just take a mental photo. Mm-hmm. And being a metal fabricator, you don't even have to see anything in person. You can see a picture of it, and you can be like, okay, I can build that. Mm-hmm. And then you change it up or do your own style or your own spin on it and just kind of go from there.
What do you feel like, so people can know, what do you feel like your niche is? Is there a specific, like, what do you enjoy building the most?
Probably my favorite thing to build is I like the patina, like the propane tank style smokers, because not any one of them look identical to each other. And so I get tired of looking at black smokers all the time. People call me like, yeah, I want it black. I'm like, why? Why do you want it black? And so like, I like the clear coat, the natural patina. You know, some of them we've done like a fake patina on because you can't find the right color, because you kind of get what you get.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I want to do this. And then, I mean, we do a lot of natural steel where we'll take the metal and clean it really well, mm-hmm. and then clear coat it to where it's like a kind of industrial look.
Oh, that's cool.
And so me being a welder, I mean, I started welding when I was 13. I'm 34 now, about turning 35 in February. So I've been welding for like 21 years, or 2 years. And so basically I've gotten to the point to where I don't want to grind any of my welds down. I want them all to show. And then that's where I guess I'm different from other people. A lot of these guys, they grind all their welds down because people want the nice smooth look. Mm-hmm. I want mine all left, all natural. That way it's more of a, I guess like an industrial mm-hmm. look. And like people like that. People come and they'll pick the pit up like, man, these welds are beautiful. And I'm like, that's what I look for, and that's what I want to do.
So let's talk about what you offer. You offer everything from, and your website's interesting too because you have a DIY. Why don't we jump into the DIY, because that's such an interesting thing. What is it? What's that all about?
So the DIY started. I had people call me and be like, hey, can you cut me a firebox? Or hey, can you cut me a stack box? Or hey, can you get me a chamber? Or hey, can you build me a firebox? I'm gonna build it. I don't know how to build a firebox, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. And so that's kind of where that started. I get called, like my hinges. I started selling hinges. I posted in one of the Built Not Bought Facebook pages one day, and I sold like $400 in hinges in one day. And I was like, I didn't realize. And people were like, well, I can't find this, so I don't know where to go. Huh. And so that page is really big. I think there's like 100-something thousand people on that page.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where the DIY kit. I was like, well, if I can offer a kit where everything's all pre-cut, pre-manufactured, kind of, I don't know if pre-manufactured, but pre-done. Like I've taken all the guesswork out of it, and then I sell it to you as a kit. And then the hardest part about it is shipping, because it weighs so much.
Oh yeah.
A pallet of everything I think weighs around like 500 or 600 pounds. So people ask me all the time, like, how much does a smoker weigh? I was like, well, I mean, I know a pallet of it weighs like 600 pounds. So once you put it all together, it probably weighs a little bit more.
How do you ship that? Who DHL or something?
Ship it through. So there's a website you can ship. It's like Unishippers.
Okay.
And basically you go in there and you put the dimensions of the pallet, how much it weighs, and then you can pick if you want to use FedEx, UPS, whatever.
Oh, so they're like a freight forward. They're like a freight company, a freight forward.
Like a broker.
Broker. That's the word. Yeah.
Well, and then I ship full smokers, like fully built smokers, through UShip.
Okay.
And so I'll get on UShip. I'll post a picture. And it's kind of like eBay for shipping. You'll post a picture. You post the dimensions. And you post where it's being picked up, where it's going, what pickup day can be, what drop-off day can be. And then people bid on it, and then you kind of go through there and read people's reviews and who they are, and then you just ship it out that way.
What a time to live to do that. That's who knew that.
Because a lot of like FedEx and UPS and all them, they want you to put it on a crate, and they want you to palletize it, and they want you to box it in. And this way, the people pick it up in like an enclosed trailer. It's usually like, private companies, and they do it that way, and they'll blanket it, they'll strap it down, and it's a lot better than trying to unload it and load it, because a lot of people don't have a way to unload it with a forklift.
Oh, yeah.
Most residential.
No, not at all.
Now, trailer smokers, those are a completely different ballgame. Those have to be picked up by like a hot shot driver and taken from point A to point B. I mean, I've shipped to New Zealand once. The
Wow.
shipping on that cost more than the smoker did.
I would imagine.
It was for some guys that Mo Cason is on their barbecue team when he goes over there and does what is it called, meat stock?
Meat stock, yeah.
Yeah, so it's for them. It's for their catering company. Yeah, because the first time I got the phone call, I saw the number and it said like +64 da 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 da. I was like, this is a spam call. I'm not answering it. and then it called again, and I was like, no, that's a spam call. I'm not answering. And then they sent me an email, and their time is 24 hours or like 12 hours off of ours.
Yeah.
And so when it's nighttime here, it's daytime there. And so they called and it's like, hey, we want to order a smoker. And I was like, he's like, we'll send you PayPal. And I was like, this still sounds like a scam.
Yeah, it sounds like that.
And then finally they called me and talked to me. And then I realized like that was their phone number. This is legit. And da 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 da. And so they ordered. It was a 1,000-gallon pit that we cut the end caps off. They wanted it flat, the insulated firebox, and then they hired a shipper when it was done, because they came over here whatever year it was when they did the Memphis in May, and they came over here and cooked with Mo Cason. So they came over and looked at it, and then made sure everything was good before I painted it, and then they left, and then I set it outside, and then they hired a shipper to come pick it up from me, take it to Los Angeles, and then ship it inside a shipping container over there.
Wow.
And it took 5 weeks for the smoker to get from here to there.
So what's interesting with that whole story too is that it's cheaper it was more economical for them to do that than to have someone build
over in like the Australia, New Zealand area, nobody built pits back then. And so they had 2 pits, 2 trailer smokers by another builder, and then they wanted something that they actually mounted it on the back of a 2-ton Chevrolet pickup. And so it's like a flatbed, and you walk up on the bed of the truck, and then you can open the doors. It's got counterweights and all that stuff.
Oh my gosh!
And so it's something nobody had done, and they said the cost of metal over there was really expensive. Nobody knew how to build a smoker, and nowadays I think there's 2 or 3 builders over there that way now.
Yeah. It makes sense that there would be eventually, but wow, what a cool story too. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was weird because I thought it was a spam call. I mean, I get them all the time.
Yeah. Well, while we were talking, while you said that, I had a spam call pop up on my phone, and then it said spam risk. So
yeah, that's what mine does. Yeah, mine will say spam risk or telemarketer.
Yeah.
And so I get them all day. So like usually I won't answer a phone call if I don't recognize it.
Same with me.
Or if I do recognize the number, and then I have them a voicemail like, hey, leave me a message. I'll call you back before the end of the day or whatever.
I want to talk before I get off track, because these stories are great. What do you offer? What are your lead times? How do people get a hold of you? What's the best way? Like, do people email you? Like, what all that?
So
jazz.
I have people email me a lot. Instagram, Facebook, myself, honestly. I have people that just randomly stop by.
Okay. They
see my address and they're like, hey, I'm going to come by or whatever. Lead times, right now, I have an 8 to 10 month lead time.
Okay.
It's around 10 months, actually. But since I've hired the 2 new guys, I'm hoping I can shorten it down to like 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
That's the way it was when I was working by myself, was 6 to 8 months. And then it just started like adding up. Then I hired the one guy that works for me now, Preston. And then I hired 2 more guys. And so hopefully that'll condense down to 6 months is my goal.
Is that for any size, like from backyard all the way up?
That's for like a cart model, like a competition cart model up to a full trailer smoker. If it's a backyard build, like a super simple backyard build, I usually tell people like 8 to 10 weeks.
Oh, okay. So that's not too bad.
Because those I can have a backyard pit built in 2 days. So if I work on it straight, like from point A to point B before paint, I can have it done in 12 hours roughly.
Is it hard to get anything these days? Are you having trouble? Is it harder to get the propane tanks too?
Well, propane tanks, no. I can go get propane tanks all day long. I have a honey hole that I have, and I have a couple. And all of us do. All the pit builders have honey holes, and we won't tell who, where, what is.
Okay, that's interesting. I've never heard it called a honey hole, but that's awesome.
It's like your favorite fishing spot.
Yeah,
you don't tell anybody where your favorite.
I love that term I never heard it for propane tanks.
Yeah, but we have our own honey holes, and so basically, like I have that, and then as far as metal, when COVID happened, it took about another 2 weeks to get stuff in because everything came from overseas. The hardest part was trailer parts. Me and I know Ryan Newland that owns Backline Fab.
Yeah.
Me and him talk like every day. Like he just texted me a while ago.
Cool guy.
But I actually saw him last weekend. I went down and picked up a 1,000-gallon tank from him actually. And first time we've been knowing each other for like a year and a half, and we've never seen each other in person. And so he called me one day and he's like, "Hey, I got this 1,000-gallon tank. Do you know anybody that needs it?" I said, "Actually, I do. I have a build coming up in February for a guy." And I said, "I'll come get it." I said, "That way we can actually sit down and bullshit and talk and drink a couple beers." And so I went down there, and he didn't get shit done that day because we sat there and talked all day long. And but no, I drove all. I took it was a 4 hour drive. I took my gooseneck trailer, drove down there, and I ended up going down there for one tank, and I came back with 2 tanks.
How'd that happen? Did he have 2?
So me and Cody actually have 2 500-gallon smokers that he does like catering stuff with. And the first one I built him was just like a normal size 500, and we built him his second one. It's a very rare. It's a long, skinny 500. So it's the size of a 250, but double the length.
Oh, interesting.
It actually has more cooking capacity as far as cubic inches than our normal 500.
Okay.
And so Cody's like, if you ever come across another one, he goes, buy it, and we'll do a double barrel on a trailer.
Oh, cool.
And so Ryan had 2 of them. And I was like, I want that. He's like, no, it's not for sale. And I said, anything's for sale. And so Cody called him and like ended up like weaseling his way and getting it. So I went down there for 1 tank, and I came back with 2 tanks.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Ryan's a super cool guy.
It's nice too that like that you guys like there's camaraderie in that business too, because there's some guys that don't like each other, or there's ones that.
Well, like I know him. I know El Cucaracha Dennis.
Dennis is cool.
Dennis is cool. I actually sold him a piece of pipe like a month ago. I had a piece of pipe behind my shop, and he needed it for the inside of his firebox. That's how he does it. And he messaged me on Instagram. He's like, "Hey, do you know anybody who has a 24-inch pipe?" I said, "Well, how much do you need?" He goes, "Whatever I can get right now." I said, "Well, I have a 14-foot stick behind my shop that I'm never going to use." And so he's like, "Yeah, I'll come get it." So we drove over there, and he brought me a shirt and a hat and paid me for the pipe, and we sat around and talked for about 2-3 hours.
That's cool.
And then he drove all the way back to Saginaw, wherever he's at.
Yeah.
I've talked to him. I've talked to Ryan. I've talked to AJ.
AJ.
Yeah, AJ. I've met. We see each other in competition stuff because he goes and hangs out with a couple people. I've commented back and forth with Sonny on Mulberry, but I've never actually talked to him on the phone. I wouldn't mind meeting him. He seems pretty cool.
He's a really nice guy. He's a really kind soul. Like I've interviewed him twice for the show, and he's always been really open, and his business is crazy. Like he got.
Oh, yeah.
Have you talked to Michael Johnson at Centex?
I've never talked to him on the phone. I've talked to him on Instagram.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. I met him through Ryan because him and Ryan was helping him get like kind of started with like getting material and getting this and helping him with that.
Yeah.
But I've only like he'll call me or he'll message me on Instagram and be like, he messaged me the other day and he's like, hey, he goes, how do you make the paint jobs on your smokers look so slick? And I was like, what are you talking about? I said, it's all in prep work. It's 90% prep, 10% paint.
Interesting.
And I was like, it's just like painting a car. If you don't prep it right, the paint job won't look good.
That's true.
And so I told him, I said, you got to have a decent paint gun. I said, I don't have a paint booth, but I have a big like canopy that I do. I know like Sonny, he has a paint booth now.
Yeah, that's.
Which I'd love to have, but I don't have the space for it.
Next year.
Yep,
or maybe this year. Who knows? Like, 4 months from now for you.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
That would be really, really nice.
So when we paint stuff, we have to let all the dust settle in the shop. We have to clean the shop, let the dust settle again. Usually at 2 or 3 times, we have to wipe the smoker down.
Oh, for sure.
And then I have like a big, huge like canopy that we put up. And I think Tyler, or that's another person I talked to, is Tyler Cannon. Knows Cannon Fits. But yeah, I have a canopy. Like that's where I got the idea. Where I said, what do you use the canopy for? He goes, to paint smokers. He goes, I can't stop building stuff while I need to paint. And I was like, that's a good idea. And so I went and bought a cheap canopy from like Costco, and I put it up, and then boom, did it that way.
That's so interesting.
It works.
Wow. So you have some stuff like people can actually purchase some stuff online from you, right? Like the DIY stuff, people.
So a DIY kit takes like probably 2 to 3 weeks to come in once I order it.
Yeah.
Because I have to order it with an order of like I normally order stuff, which I usually order stuff once a month. Like I'll buy enough stuff at once to build like 5 or 6 smokers, and then so like if they call in between, they might have to wait a little bit longer. But for the most part, I order it and it usually comes in like 2 or 3 weeks. And then it takes me a full day to do a DIY kit. So I cut everything down, put it on a pallet, shrink wrap it, strap it all down, and then get it all set up for shipping.
How popular are those? Is it are those taking off?
I've sold probably like 5 or 6 of them. A lot of the problem is people don't realize like it's different. They're like, oh, it costs, like a DIY kit I think is $1,300. And a smoker that if I build it, it's like $2,200. They're like, well, $1,000 more, I can just have you build it. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And they're like, but I want to build it. And I'm like, if you got the tools, if you have a welder and you have a grinder and you have a welding hood and all the basic like metalworking tools, you can do it yourself. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
And so I've shipped one up north somewhere. I've shipped one down south. I've shipped one to Grand Prairie. And he actually built a trailer smoker. So he bought the DIY kit, and I took it over to him, dropped it off, and then he called me like 2 days later. He's like, could you cut everything for a trailer, and then you pre-cut it, and then I'll just build the trailer? And I was like, yeah, I guess I can do that. It's like, it won't take me about an hour or two to cut everything. And so I cut all the metal for the trailer, and then he come picked it up and did it himself. So, I mean, I've sold probably 5 or 6 of them.
Hey, well, that's still interesting. It's an interesting concept, and I'm sure.
Well, nobody else offers it. And
at
so
all.
it's just,
I've never seen that before.
So, yeah, the idea just came up one day, and I was like, I'm going to do it. And so did it and go from there.
So if people want to see your workplaces, would it be mostly going to like competitions to see your stuff, or are you at any restaurants right now?
So I'm in Smoke Sessions Barbecue. I built him 2,000-gallon pits. He has one on skids, one on the trailer.
Okay, cool.
That was the first 1,000 gallons. Well, his 2,000 gallons were the first 1,000 gallons I ever did.
Okay.
And then I'm in a restaurant in Tulsa, Oklahoma called 1907 Barbecue.
Okay.
John and Jason, or John and something.
Okay.
They're actually set up at a brewery in Tulsa.
Okay.
And so I built them. Their first smoker I built them was it was like a 24x60. It went on a back porch trailer because they were doing competitions and caterings, and then they got into doing selling barbecue. And then I built them. For some reason, they wanted me to build them a small trailer smoker, so they brought me a trailer and a piece of pipe, and then I built everything else. And then the last pit I built them was a 1,000-gallon in an enclosed trailer with a roof and everything.
Wow. So you could do all that too. That's you can fabricate all that.
So building trailers is nothing to me. Like, I've done it my whole life. In shop class and ag class, we built trailers and we showed them. And so I build my trailers different than a lot of people. Well, not a lot of people, but I use all tubing, like rectangular tubing, and I hide all the wiring in the trailer, so you can't see any wires dangling.
That's killer.
So it's all nice and clean, and that's my whole goal, is make everything nice and clean and make it as simple as possible, so where you can actually enjoy what you're doing. You're not having to work to like do anything. So
and I'm sure as things go, I'm sure you're going to be at a bunch of restaurants. It sounds
well, yeah. I mean, I've sold to a lot of guys. Like the 1,000-gallon pit I'm doing in February, it's going to a guy in Waco that started his barbecue restaurant. He started as a catering. He got to do competitions and catering, and then now he's building a restaurant.
That's cool.
And it's called like Hincho in Mexico or Hincho in Texas or something like that.
Huh.
His name's Jamie Galvin.
Okay.
I've sold to a ton of people that are doing catering and then kind of growing into a barbecue restaurant. And I tell them all, like, start small and work your way up. Don't jump into
such smart advice. Yeah. No, that's really smart advice because
you don't know if it's going to work, or you don't know if some bigwig's going to come in next door to you and then take you out. And so I just start small, and the smaller you can stay, the more money you'll make, and then just work your way up debt free and just get to where you need to be at.
Yeah, and get your name out and can show people that you could cook the product, and you're like a vehicle for them to succeed.
Well, everybody comes to me and wants like a catering pit. They're like, I'm gonna be the next Aaron Franklin. I'm like, well, I hope the best for you, but at the end of the day, it's like, he's in Austin. He's in a big popular area, and now he's infiltrated all around him with all these barbecue restaurants.
There's so many
He's
places.
Still doing good.
Yeah, there's still, but it's tough with COVID. COVID's messed a lot of stuff up for him. I think it's because and
then he had that fire not too long ago.
That's true.
Set stuff back for him.
And Louis Miller had a fire yesterday.
Did he really?
Yeah, but they contained it. It was in the pit room, and I know that they're open again today. So I'm friends with Sheldon Mason, and he works there. He's now like the right hand man of Wayne, and he did an 11-hour shift, and then he came back to clean up because he lives in San Antonio.
And then I heard the barbecue restaurant. There's one in McKinney called Hutchins.
Oh yeah.
It burnt down the other day too. It burned down like bad.
Oh,
from what I understand, they just totally like redid that place. They added on. They made the drive-through nicer, and like they added a whole lot of like seating area.
Well, and they had like 3 or 4 pits too, huh? I think it was.
They had, when you walk in through the door, because we'll eat there a lot because it's all you can eat style barbecue restaurant, so it's actually a good deal for what it is. But yeah, you walk in, they had like 3 or 4 like Oilers, and then they have a trailer pit out back, and then they had a couple other things that they use.
Wow.
And so it sucks.
Well, they're dealing with fire. Like I know that places in Atlanta burned down. Like there's been a lot of fires in general. That's something that can happen. It sucks, and hopefully I don't even know if you could get insurance to cover it. I guess you have to pay a lot.
Know. Well, so like I stopped at Smoke Sessions on the way over here and talked to Potter, which is like Chad's right hand guy. Yeah. And we was looking at the pit room, and there's sprinklers in the pit room. And it's a fire suppression system.
Smart.
And so like that's all like that. And so basically I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. If you're going to go ahead and do it, you might as well go ahead and do it the right way. Spend the money and be done with it.
To wrap this up, your website is
BigPhilSmokers.com, and we're in the process of totally redoing everything on it. We're doing a logo change. We're trying to make things more simpler where people can kind of build their pit on the website. So there'll be like drop down boxes and it automatically changes the price for you. And then Instagram is Big Phil Smokers, and then Facebook is obviously Big Phil Smokers, and then my cell phone, and that's it.
I'm so happy. I want to drink a beer with you. Like you're a cool guy, and also it's just cool to hear that you've been doing this since like high school. Like it's.
Well, I had my ag teacher come visit me not too long ago, and he's like, I want to come and see your shop, and I was like, all right, whatever. And so he came up there, and he's like, you're the only student I've ever had that actually started a successful business with welding. And then he calls me once every probably month, and he'll be like, hey, I'm building this smoker. Like, how do I do this? I'm like, I can't give you all my secrets. I was like, because I get that all the time. People call me like, hey, how do you do this? And I was like, I'll help you do stuff, but there's a lot of time and labor in figuring out what doesn't work and what doesn't work to just give that stuff away.
Yeah. There should be some like those. That's like it's a company secret. Like there's certain in business and big business, there's secrets that they keep.
Well, it's like you can't go to a barbecue restaurant and ask them the recipe for the barbecue sauce.
No,
they're gonna give it to you. And you might see on the back of the bottle. Yeah, they might show on the back of the bottle what recipe's in, but they're gonna tell you the ratio of everything.
No. They shouldn't.
No,
I don't think so. Awesome.
No. Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I'll have people call me all the time or message me like, hey, I'm building my own smoker. Will this work? I'm like, no, that's not gonna work. And they'll be like, well, what do I need to change? I'm like, if I were you, I would do this. I said, but I'm not gonna tell you. You got to figure it out. Nobody helped me start this. And then, like, me and Ryan, we bounce ideas off each other. Like, I've helped him do stuff, and he's helped me do stuff. But, I mean, me and him, like, we talk almost, like, every day. And, like, yesterday was his birthday, and I forgot to text him birthday. So this morning,
I saw that, too. I need to text him.
He texted me this morning. He goes, I thought we were BFFs. And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like,
I feel bad now. I'll text him after this.
Yeah, he's super nice guy. So I like him.
And also too, like there's certain people that you have are friends with, like Ryan. He's been doing it for so long, and he's been doing it in like a different arena. He was doing like all that stuff for the concerts and stuff. Like he's got some interesting skills, like a skill set that's different than others.
Well, he's like, I went down there and he's like, yeah, I've met Lady Gaga, I've met Britney Spears, I've met Pink, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. You actually met like people that are celebrities and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for taking the time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.